Hi guys, this is Judith Peterson. Welcome back. I'm here today with Armine Chitjian, and most of you probably know her from Manifest with Armine. And for those of you that are new to me, my name is Judith Peterson. I'm a Law of Attraction life coach, and I'm the host of the Law of Attraction Lifestyle Show. So this is the second time my dear friend was so kind to drop by, and we figured because we had such great chemistry, we would do an interview, or actually more of a casual conversation together. So welcome back. Thank you so much for coming. Yay! I'll drop a link below of the interview I did with you because I thought it was a lot of fun. And today, like I said, a little bit more of a casual convo. We really felt like connecting again and talking about Neville and Abraham Hicks, because as most of you know, Armine is an expert on Neville Goddard, and I'm an expert on Abraham Hicks. Yes, you are. Own it, girl. And yeah, we were playing around a little bit. We've been talking about techniques, and one of the techniques that we wanted to chat about today is Neville Goddard's living in the end and Abraham Hicks acting as if, because I feel very strongly that this is pretty much the same thing. So, Armine, what's your take on this?
So, like everything, words are vibration, right? So, there's living in the end is all about feeling, right? Mm-hmm. So, the way I usually see it as, because there are so many things that Abraham teaches and Neville teaches that are just different words, right? Meaning the same thing oftentimes. So I kind of see acting as if, as exactly living in the end or feeling it real, because it's about being that person. It's about who are you being.
Yeah.
I think that it's not. I think that it doesn't mean what some people think it means, which is just going through the motions and tricking yourself or pretending that you're something that you're not.
Because like the fake it until you make it, shallow.
Yeah. And faking until you make it, even that, like if you're feeling it, if you're living in the end while you're faking it till you make it, then you're not really faking it, you're actually feeling your way into it. So that's the way I see it. I see it like, it's all, you can't fake your vibration. So acting as if, for me, is living in the end. It's different words for the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I think as well. And I agree with what you say about, people confusing this a little bit. Like, for example, I want to become a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. Let me spend money like I'm a millionaire, but it really makes me cringe on the inside, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can't trick the universe. It knows that you're not really feeling it.
Exactly. So fun thing, we actually reached out to some people and we got a question. And the question was, how do I find that feeling place? Like, how do I act as if, and how do I live in the end when everything around me reminds me of that, I'm just not there yet. So what do you think? I mean, I have a lot of ideas, but I'm really curious about what you have to say.
I'll give a bit of what, how I would approach this, and then I'd love to hear what you have to say too. So what you do in everything is staring at you in the face, showing you, proving to you, giving you evidence constantly that what you want does not exist. And better yet, that the opposite of what you want exists. So this is, I think, like, it's important to acknowledge that you do understand the way nature works, because once you acknowledge it and understand the basic law, it's really just a matter of being able to look at something and say, I manifested this from my previous thoughts and thought patterns and feelings. Mm-hmm. And that's all it is. It's just a delayed reflection of that. Exactly. And if you approach it practically like that, then, because sometimes when we deal with emotions, it's kind of hard to think practically, but if you can just step back and look at it that way, then it kind of starts to make sense. And you realize that, okay, so I don't have to be so enveloped in this whole feeling of the moment and staring at things that are proving that I don't have what I want, or that I have what I don't want. You can just acknowledge that, it's there because I created that experience and now I'm creating something else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, I think exactly. So, and I think you're right when you say, you know, you are where you are, basically. That's what you're saying. You are where you are, and it's okay to acknowledge that. And I think that's a great moment also for the clarity through contrast exercise. Is like, okay, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. That's what Abraham Hicks always says. And I think that's actually quite a powerful exercise. I do this quite a bit with my clients. Is like, okay, so this is really not that bad. You know, just get out what it is that you're seeing that you're not liking. What would be the opposite? What would be the thing that you do want? And however, I do think, you know, sometimes people, for example, when they want to live in the end or act as if they, you know, when they manage to figure out what it is that they do want, they can maybe have the visuals, but they struggle finding the feeling place.
That's the important part.
And that's the gasoline. It's like, you know, but it's like you got to throw on the gasoline, right? So, and that's the most important part, just like you said. So I think when you get to that place, it's like, okay, I know what I don't want. I figure out what I do want. Now I know what I do want. Now, how do I amplify this? How do I really tap into that feeling place? How do I get comfy with these emotions? And I think the most important thing is to ask yourself, like, for example, this person was talking about finances, really, which I think is it's a big one. And I think a starting point would be, okay, what would that mean to you? Why do you want this money, right? So, for example, you know, wanting money to provide for your kids or to travel with your children, or another example could be you have a kid with special needs and you want to get them the best care money can buy. So, well, then I think it's important to ask yourself, what would it feel like? So kind of find an example for yourself.
Yep.
Connect with that visual, and then tune into the feeling. Give yourself an example. And I think that's kind of opening up the door to finding that feeling place, you know, especially because, like I said, if you don't, you know, if you want something you've never had before, how the hell do you know how it feels? You know, it's like the thing, it's like, oh, well, I think I would be happy. I think it would make me feel liberated, free, fun. So I think that's the way.
And I think like it's kind of really helpful to also add this into there, because if you may not know what it feels like exactly yet, and you're just working your way through it, like you're tending to your vibration about it, but you do know what it doesn't feel like, right? You do know that it doesn't feel like probably the anxiety it's giving you in the moment or the frustration, and it also doesn't feel like out of reach. It doesn't feel out of reach.
Right.
When you have it. And when you don't yet have it and you don't know the how yet, it just feels out of reach. And that's why Neville says brazen impudence. You just have to be bold about it, and regardless of not knowing how it's going to happen, you just do it, and you don't let it feel out of reach, and replace that with the feeling of naturalness. Because regardless of what it is, once you have it, it's going to feel natural. You can want $1 million. Once you have it, it's going to feel natural. Okay, day one, whoa, super exciting. Day two, whoa, what just happened here? You know, if it came all at once, let's say. And then, you know, over time, after a few weeks, even less than that, it's going to feel kind of natural. Still pretty cool, but it's going to feel natural.
Yeah, it's going to feel like the new normal.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the new, like, that's your thermostat that you set for yourself. Now it's kind of normal for me to have this much money because, well, it's been with me for at least a few days now, and you might want something else now, or you might want to think about what you want with that money, or it's not a be all and end all. Nothing's a be all and end all. And if we make our desire that and seem like if I just had this, then it would be the answer to everything, that's not real, and it's not going to come that way, because nothing is the answer to everything we want. It's not enough.
Okay. So what about finding something to be grateful for in the meantime? Because I feel that is kind of an easy way out of not feeling so great and just climbing up that emotional ladder. I feel that for me, and I see it a lot with clients, is like, even when things are like really or they feel bad, there's always something to be grateful for. And I feel that's always a good start, even when it's something really small. So what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Like Abraham says, right? Get off the topic. You know, if in that moment, and the funny thing is that we think of it as, oh, some people just have trouble with this, or some people have trouble with that, but it's not even a person-to-person basis. It's a moment-to-moment basis, because we experience such a wide range of emotions, of even when it comes to confidence or guilt or security. Like, we experience so many different things, different moments. So in one moment, if you're not knowing how it's going to happen, because there's so many things staring at you in the face that are showing you that it hasn't happened yet, and it's not happening this right hot minute, right? Then, you know, just like Brenda's, like, get off the topic, you know, and just
go general.
Go general, yeah, and appreciate something. It can even be the same topic, but just a little different branch of it. Sometimes people feel silly doing that, right? I'm sure you experience this, you know, because especially like with your clients, when you want them to focus on something that maybe isn't as like meaningful to them in that moment, and they might be like, well, okay, yeah, I appreciate this, I appreciate the sky, I appreciate the tree, but, you know, how is that going to help me right now? And they can get frustrated, but
yeah, because I want to talk about the thing that I haven't manifested yet, and that's exactly where the problem is.
and you don't have to go as far as appreciating the sky or the air you breathe. Well, the air you breathe will always make you feel appreciative, I think, if you focus on it just a couple minutes. But yeah, you can think of something in that, you know, subject, you know, like, which is like going general, but it doesn't have to be that general. Like, let's say it's finances, you can be like, well, there was a time that I didn't know how I was going to have enough money for something, but it did show up, you know? And even if you feel like you're emotionally not attached to that at the moment, you can use your human logic reasoning to kind of get you to believe again, because that's what people want testimonials for all the time, right? For if they're going to buy a product, if they're going to work with somebody, they want testimonials. They want social proof that, like, okay, this thing is possible. This thing could work. And you can do that for yourself. You can say, well, yeah, I want more ease in my finances. And then you can think back to a time, give yourself a testimonial. There was a time that I had even less ease, and then I had more ease. And then just convince yourself it's possible by just.
Yes, exactly. Well, actually, it's funny that you bring up the testimonials, because I remember many years ago, I would actually, I was paid in check and with checks, and I would just make copies, and I would I would just put them aside. And then when I felt that I kind of needed it, I would just go back and I would remember, oh yeah, I had this unexpected check. I had this unexpected check. I was paid for this. Well, this was for a gig, and this was for something I, again, didn't expect. And it was nice to go back, because, you know, we forget quite easily. It was like, yeah. Already did that. That already worked. But now I want this.
And this is just another fleeting thing. This thing that you want, and right now, to help you with finances, this more ease that you want, it's going to be one of those things that you're going to forget, you know. Exactly. That's how natural it is. That's how natural it has to be to come to pass, because that's the way it's going to happen. It's going to be another one of those things that, unless you like maybe write it down because you specifically want to remember it, or make a copy, which is, I never even heard of. That's a great idea. You can remind yourself that, no, this happened, and there you go. There's the proof that, you know, things can happen in the way that I want, and I don't have to know exactly how.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's another thing, the how. So I know some people, they kind of get like, drive themselves crazy, because it's like, okay, I kind of sort of trust, but I want to exactly know how this is going to play out. I noticed that I don't really feel that need anymore, but I think because I've been doing this work for quite a while, and I've been learning and teaching law of attraction for quite a while, I kind of know how to surrender. But I know a lot of people struggle with this. It's like, yeah, but I don't see how it can happen. I don't understand how it can happen. And I like the sentence of the house or the domain of the universe.
Yep.
I really like that.
Yep.
But, you know, talking to people that really are not used to.
Right? I think, and I'm sure you can relate to this feeling that the surrendering is the best part, because if you're, when you actually surrender,
Mm.
oh man, it's like a big weight off your shoulders.
Yes.
It's heaviness lifts from you, and
Yeah. The lightness, right? The lightness.
And people just have a hard time like letting go or surrendering, however you want to call it, because they're tying it to not having control anymore. But once you realize that the surrender is the control, because you're allowing processes to happen that are not your job in the first place, but you're controlling what comes to you through your vibration.
Yeah.
So surrendering is controlling your vibration. You don't have to control the details, because the details are the domain of the universe, right? So
well,
if you don't trust that what you want is going to happen in the first place, then you will never be at ease, and that's not what anybody wants.
But it's interesting because, you know, I know a lot of people throughout, it's like, oh, I'm letting it go, I'm releasing it. But the thing is I believe that people do, but at the same time, it's not just words, it's really a feeling. I think I had it 3 times in my life with very big things that I wanted really, really, really bad. You know how it goes with things that you want really, really, really bad. It's like we're pushing really, really hard. And I remember the moment I released it. And it was like, it was not pushing open any doors. It was not kicking. It was not pulling. It was like taking off something that I just didn't need anymore. I was surrendering. And it, you know, I could feel that in my whole body. Like, have you ever had an experience like that?
Yeah, it's you feel lighter. You feel, I want to like a child, you know. That's why they say if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must become like a child, right? And it doesn't mean not being educated, or it doesn't mean being silly necessarily. It just means not tying yourself to the weight of responsibility, in the sense of like, I have to do certain things in order for certain things to happen.
Yeah, the frantically wanted to manifest.
Yeah, if you feel like, and I think women feel this a lot too. I mean, men in their own way, yes, but obviously we could probably understand the women's perspective a little more, that sometimes we feel like there's so much, you know, so many things depend on us. And that's like, okay, like all of a sudden we feel like we have to control everything because everything depends on us to go right, you know. In order for your kids' teeth to be brushed every day, in order for twice, yeah. I mean, hey, sometimes even once is a miracle to get that done. So, like, fight for the second one. Like, even like the basic things, we start to feel like, okay, we have to be on top of it, otherwise it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And we can approach it differently and cut ourselves some slack and realize that if we just expect our children to know what to do and to not disobey us, then that's what's going to happen. We just fall into this thing sometimes of like society, you know, saying, oh, the typical like TV show, let's say, oh, the parents have to be hounding the kids to do something, you know, and then the kids weren't behaving and then something bad happened, you know. It's like, that's just what we expect, because we think, okay, since we're parents and they're children, these are the roles we play. And that's not true. Children are really capable. Children are going to reflect whatever we are, right? Like you've said it before. Inside, whatever we're feeling and experiencing and expecting, that's what our children are going to reflect. So
yeah,
just like that example, everything else is the same way. So act as if you have the money. Act as if your kids are doing exactly what they are
angels.
They are humans after all, so things are completely
yes, for sure.
At least the daily things that we feel like give us so much stress, because it's like, oh, this has to be done every day and we still have to, you know, be constantly on top of things. Those daily routine things, we can just expect them to be done, and not expect as in like, you better do this, but just in your mind have the expectation that it's good. Everyone has their delegated tasks and everyone is responsible for it. Even our spouses or whoever.
Especially our spouses.
Yeah, because the more
do a whole other video on that.
Yes, and I know how that feels, and I think everyone does, you know, men and women. It's like basically the more frustrated you get with something that something you're noticing in your relationship, let's say, that you wish was different, if they're behaving a way that you're not really like thrilled about, instead of like being hurt about it and taking it personally and saying, but that's not fair because I deserve this, you know, I deserve a person who's like this or is more thoughtful or whatever. There's a million things you put on that list. Just switch it up. That's the contrast. So hello, let's use that contrast and let's mold that energy and just for a second, let me just shut up and close my mouth and think, oh yeah, hey, look, I can imagine them actually offering help, you know?
Yes, exactly.
And that's really what it is. And I think that's most people's nature, is to be helpful and to be productive. And sometimes it's our expectation of them or our worrying that it's not going to be that way that doesn't let them express it in a certain way. So when we let go of that, we actually open the channel for like, okay, yeah, no, actually, like we can work in harmony. We can both work in the same room on different things and not, you know, bother each other. And then
I feel we need to do another video on this for sure.
Yeah, before we started and now we're here, but
yeah, but that's very interesting. That's very interesting because me and my husband, we both work from home, and it's funny the things you mentioned. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, you want to Yeah.
Yeah, it's like manifest harmonious energy while both working from home. I think that's the topic of the next video.
Yeah, my sister and her husband also work in the same office. So he's a physician and she does a lot of the work at the office, like managing, I guess. So I remember I used to ask them, like, how do you guys work together and live together? Like, how do you
that is
that's like, so, yeah. But yeah, it's an awesome thing. And it's so funny, which goes to prove that like working from home is something that so many people wish they had and they think they can't have, you know? And when you have it, it's normal, right? It just becomes your natural thing.
Exactly.
And guess what? There are still things that you're going to be wanting to tweak because that's just always how it is. So like you were saying before, like, okay, how do you know how it feels to have what you want? Well, you know, it doesn't feel out of reach because when you have what you want, it might have seemed impossible at first when you thought of, okay, I want this in my life, but the closer it gets, the better, like the more it's just normal and of course doesn't feel out of reach. So and then you start wanting other things, then you want to tweak it around, then you want to tend to your vibration more so you can just keep adding and making. This is what it is. It's, again, Abraham, you can't get it wrong because you never get it done. There's always something that you're going to do. And I think it's awesome that we can talk about this and people understand that, hey, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have about Abraham or about Neville Goddard or any of the teachers. It's that we are constantly evolving and there's nothing to feel bad about or down on yourself or to beat yourself up when you have moments of contrast, because that is what we are here for. We're here for
evolving, growing, expanding.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that you're not good at manifesting or you're not educated enough about it or you haven't done enough research or you haven't watched enough videos, you know. It's probably because you watched too many videos. That's probably the thing, you know. Right? Yeah,
and I think people sometimes, you know, feel the need to, or no, it's not feel the need, maybe feel a little bit of fear of creating their own spiritual practice that works for them. Because I realized after many, many years of studying law of attraction that was key, because there was a lot of like, you have to meditate like this, and you have to do affirmations like that, and you have to do the vision board like this, and you have to act as if like that. And I realized it took me the longest time to figure this out. The feeling plays. That's, you know, how does it feel to me right now to meditate? How does it feel to me right now to vision board? What is that inspired action? That's another thing. Action, inspired action, two completely different things. And took me the longest time to figure that out. Like, what feels right to me, what fits my lifestyle and what fits my personality. You know, you're more visual, you're going to do maybe a different type of exercise than somebody that's more auditory or whatever. Finding that the thing that feels right to you in that moment. And I think surrendering to that, as opposed to, oh, I should be meditating. Like, well, if you want a vision board right now, or you want a script or whatever, if that what feels juicy to you, then do that. Just follow that instinct and take that inspired action. And again, you know, action, inspired action. I don't know if you get that a lot, but I hear that quite a lot. It's like, yeah, but I've been doing it. I've been slaying it. I've been grinding it. It's like, wait.
That's the problem.
That's probably exactly where you're going wrong. And inspired action, the way I see it, is really about tuning in, relax. This is what I want. This is how I feel. What feels right to me? Hey, I'm gonna send you an email because I feel inspired to do something fun with you. Boom. That's inspired action. You reply to me, we do something fun. When you get an inspiration to email, to make a video, to apply for a job, then follow it. Not like, oh, this is my to-do list and I have to do this because otherwise I'll never get it done. I think that's another way of surrendering, really. Like, move more with the vibes.
You can start with action and then allow inspired action to come in, because as long as you're not really depending on the action in order to deserve a result, because that's a
good one. Deserve the result. Yeah. Is that belief, right? We have to work hard for our whatever.
Because it's always been, you go to work, and the more work you put in, the more overtime you put in, the more deserving you are of having more money, you know, and because that's how it was dished out to people. And it's, you know, it's such a different way of looking at things that don't worry about it if it takes you a while to really fully grasp that. Because, I mean, obviously you can start implementing, you know, your new paradigm about money and about income right away, but that stuff creeps back on you sometimes, and you just have to
yes.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Like, I'm still here.
Yeah. Woo-hoo, remember, maybe you don't deserve this, or woo-hoo, you know what, you took a nap today, so you're not gonna.
Yeah. Your parents don't agree. If only your parents knew, you know, things like that. Yeah. That's funny. Because, I mean, that's, you know, all the mental, what's it called? Like the beliefs that our parents taught us, or like consciously or unconsciously. And it's funny what you said about the money. Is like, you got to work hard, you got to do this, you got to do that in order to achieve that. Well, that's true. If that's your belief, then that's true. You know.
So it's so funny because, like, the whole working hard thing, like, it means so many different things to so many people. Like, if you're talking about like suffering, you have to suffer. So basically, the more time you sacrifice with your family and put it towards work and commute, therefore you're deserving of more money to support your family. That makes absolutely no sense. You know, you might love a job that requires you to go somewhere and it pays you well, and, you know, there's a commute with it. That's fine, and that might be for your lifestyle. But to expect that of yourself in order to be deserving of something,
be worthy, yeah.
And then hard work. Hey, Judith, when you love something, don't you naturally work hard at it?
Yes. Yeah, because the thing is, I feel that quite a bit. Is like, it's not even working. Yeah, I mean, yes, working hard, but it's also like, I want to keep going because I love it so much.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if you experience this. This would be interesting. I don't know. I never talked to you about this, but personally, I had a hard time, like, when I was like already researching law of attraction and doing all this stuff for years, but like when I first started like getting into like helping people, coaching, whatever, all those words, using words like I have work to do, all of a sudden seemed like, I don't deserve to call it work. Work sounds important. Like, this is just something I'm doing for fun, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it changes lives, and it changed your life, and regardless of if you're making money or not about it, it's just like, it feels like I like doing it. So can I really say, oh, I gotta answer this email for work? You know, it's like, it feels like you're kind of chatting with someone you like chatting with, and they want your help and you're helping them. So it doesn't, feel like, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why I think some coaches in the beginning, they have like a problem, and I had that problem in the beginning too, of actually charging people, because it's like, oh, but this is so fun, but it takes up your entire day, and when you're doing it day and night, eventually you're gonna have to say, hey, you know what, this is an energy exchange, and it feels good. If you want to pay me, yeah, it feels good. I'm not gonna say
for sure.
fun, because, yeah, and then you are working all the time, you know, like, especially if you're a business owner, and you know this, you know, with your family too, you're you know, in business, it's like you have your own functioning, you know, organization, and it's just a matter of like, you have the choice to either enjoy it and
exactly
make a schedule that you enjoy, and you make enough time for family, and, you know, or you're gonna suffer through it, because a lot of times when we choose to suffer through it, we have this old belief of, well, we're making money doing it, and we need to sacrifice. We need to make sure that we're not having a lot of fun.
It's like the glorified suffering.
Exactly, glorified suffering. It's like, once we start having fun, now we're like worried, like, oh no, maybe we're not getting enough things done. Maybe, you know, let's look at our numbers again, you know, or is everything okay?
Yeah. We're so naughty. Yeah, no, I can definitely relate. And I think you made a good point there about new coaches or people, you know, I think a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs kind of struggle with that. And I remember one time I was in a meeting with a bunch of coaches, and we were talking money, and all of a sudden, like, woo, like a lot of people got a little bit uncomfortable. I was like, really? Are we gonna be weird about this? Yeah. But that's the belief system. It's like, you got to work hard for money, or, you know, deciding for yourself, well, my audience can't afford this or that. It's like, you don't know that. You don't, you know, it's like you said, it's an energy exchange. So it's fine. You know, you need to provide for your family, and everybody else does. So
yeah. This is probably a good time to put this little fact in. You know, this is something that ends up being like controversial for some reason sometimes. They say Neville Goddard never charged anybody for his lectures, okay, or for his events. And then because there's somebody who put a testimonial online, an older man, have you seen that testimonial? It's like an older man, and he was a student of Neville. He went to his lectures back in the day, and he said that Neville said that he does not charge, and he would never charge. I believe that he didn't send like a basket around collecting money like Reverend Ike did, which is, I think, is fine, whatever, you know, that's cool. Yeah. But Neville said, I'm not going to pass a basket around to collect money from you. However, he did charge for his lectures, and he specifically said that I pay every week for a full page in the LA Times to advertise my lectures in LA. And he said that I pay for this venue, you know, every week. So,
of course.
He's like, there's nothing wrong. And then even in the beginning, when he first moved to LA, he said that he was charging, this is back then, I think it was like about between $100 and $200 per person for like, I think a week-long course on his interpretation of the Bible. And people thought it was like absurd for him to charge so much money for teaching the Bible, you know. And his response to that was, you know, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with charging money, because I have a family to feed. I'm bringing my family, you know, from New York, and this is just something that, you know, if you find value in it, then you can pay for it. If you don't, then you don't have to.
Exactly.
That's so awesome, because so many people try to tie like good teachings with humbleness, in the sense of like, oh no, I couldn't take, yeah, exactly. If they're a good person, they couldn't take money for it. And that's just something that they were brought up with, and they will fight for it online. They will say that, oh no, this person was a good person. He had integrity, so he would never charge.
Yeah.
When Neville got his inheritance when his dad passed away, him and his brothers and sister, they all received their inheritance, and he no longer had to charge for his, like, to make money for his own family, to support his family. But however, like I said, he did charge for for the advertising he did, you know, and he charged that through the tickets for his events. And
yeah, no, I'm totally on that team because you know, to me, it just sounds absurd, really, to be honest. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me when people would say something like, oh, why would you charge for that? Well, it's an energy exchange. I put time into this. I put love into this. I put effort into this. And I think it's only fair.
And they don't have to pay. And they don't have to pay.
Exactly. You don't have to go to this coach, or you don't have to go to that speaker. That's really up to you.
And this is like kind of like, I guess, strange to some people that I say this, but you don't need a coach. There's endless information online. If you want to do it yourself and don't want to have to pay anybody for it, you don't have to. You know, that's how I did it. But so many people, it may be a small percentage of like the whole population, but that small percentage is a lot of people who do want to work with a coach because they just enjoy it.
Yeah, and they like the accountability and, you know, having a professional coach. Yeah.
But you should never feel like, oh, I don't have money, so this person's, I'm restricted from really manifesting properly because I can't pay. That's ridiculous. I didn't, you know, I had a coach, but I had a money mindset coach in the beginning, but it wasn't like, yeah, you can do so much on your own and you can enjoy it, but hey, if you want to invest in that, then that's awesome. And,
yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there was something I thought of. Oh, right. I don't know if you read this book of Jensen Sincero. She wrote a book.
Oh,
yeah. Have you read that?
Making money?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I found the book. I actually bought it when I was in the States, and I think it's called How to Be a Badass. And then one of the ladies that was, you know, sorting the books, she said, oh, you know, she has another one and it's on money. And I was like, really? She said, it's really good. So I bought both books. And in that book, she was talking about this poverty mindset, really, because that's what it comes down to. And she was talking about, how did she say it again? She was talking about, you know, being a good person. A good person doesn't have any money, basically. And a poor person has, you know, has no money. And she says, I don't understand that why, when making money, you know, why the hell does it come up like, you know, you can be a good person, but you cannot have money at the same time. It's like, who decided that this has to be a choice? Who has decided that?
It's just something that automatically we accepted in our mind from things we've heard from around us. And she also writes, I just finished reading that book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. And she says that we get it from our parents, and our parents got it from their parents who probably grew up during the Depression era. So, I mean, it's just automatic. It's just automatic things that, and that's kind of good to realize, because we can stop and think, okay, what are we teaching our kids automatically without,
yes.
It's not about money, but just automatically for no reason that we're kind of pushing on them, and they don't need to be limited by certain things. So
yeah, no, exactly. And I think it's such, money is a whole other thing, but it's so interesting. I actually recently had a client, you know, she wanted to sort out some money stuff, and she was talking about, well, I don't have any rich friends. To be honest, I don't like rich people. And I was like,
there you go.
I was like, well, congrats. That's a wonderful insight. Let's talk about this for a second.
That's what Jen Sincero in her book, she says that she calls your subconscious mind the little prince who's like trying to protect you and keep all the good things away from you, because you have a belief that, okay, I don't like rich people, so this little prince is not going to let you be rich because God forbid you don't like yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, totally.
Okay. So I think I'm going to wrap this up because, to be honest, my kids are about to come home. So.
One of mine is about to come. Yes, that's true.
So guys, thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun, and I'll drop some links down below. You can watch the interview that we did a couple of months ago, I think it was. And if you have any questions for Armine or for me, please feel free to reach out, or if you want to book a session, I'll also leave the links below. If you want us to do another video, let us know. We'd love to do something for you guys, and I hope to see you soon. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hopefully we didn't go off on too many tangents, but I think it was all pretty fun though.
We definitely did. We definitely did, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thanks, Judith. Yay. See you next time. We'll do it again, yeah?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
wait, I just stopped the video, I think. Oh.